Did you know that your gut microbiome doesn't just stay with you, that you can actually spread it to others and others can transmit their microbiome to you? That's what today's video is about. Hi, I'm Dr. B. I'm a medical doctor and I make educational videos on topics I find fascinating. The human microbiome is a complex system and consists of trillions of microorganisms. This includes bacteria, viruses, and fungi. They live in and on our bodies. And the gut microbiome includes over 100 trillion bacteria. And what kind of bacteria, how many of each kind in relation to other kinds of bacteria, or the diversity of good to bad bacteria, has been shown in many research studies to have a super important role in health. Now, this includes the gut-brain connection and its effect on our brain for mental health, like depression and anxiety, as well as susceptibility to chronic diseases like obesity, diabetes, sugar control, and even intestine infections. And from research, we know that we can do certain things to promote a healthy microbiome, and these include diet. We know that fiber-rich foods, fruits and vegetables, fermented foods, these all promote the growth of healthy bacteria, while a diet high in sugar and unhealthy fats can lead to an unhealthy microbiome. Overuse of antibiotics. These can kill both harmful and beneficial bacteria and lead to an imbalance in the gut microbiome. Chronic stress produces high levels of cortisol, a stress hormone, which over time will also decrease the quality of the gut microbiome. And then there's a list of different things: poor sleep, lack of exercise, excessive alcohol and smoking. All of these make the microbiome less healthy. But there's very recent research evidence that shows that the makeup of our microbiome is not just determined by diet and lifestyle, but also by the people we interact with, and those people that we live closely with every day, like parents, roommates, spouses, and kids. Let's examine this evidence. A recent fascinating article was published, and this article compared the microbiome between individuals that live closely together and the microbiome of those that did not. This included the following groups: mothers and infants, individuals that cohabitated or lived together, individuals that didn't cohabitate but lived in the same towns or villages but really lived in the same general area, and then a group of people who were part of the big population but not anywhere each other. Now, all of these people had the same lifestyle, the same food intake, and the same local environment. And the final group was twins. Now, researchers performed a sophisticated genetic analysis to determine what percent of the microbiome were identical in these groups. The results were remarkable. And spoiler alert, the results demonstrated there is very likely direct person-to-person transmission of the microbiome when you live closely with someone over an extended time period. Let's first look at the mother-infant transmission. Now, this was the highest, especially early on when the infant was young. The mother and child shared as much as 50% of the same microbiome. Now, this percentage decreased as the child aged, but even as an adult, decades later, the exact microbiome sharing percentage remained quite high compared with other groups. Next, let's look at individuals that were cohabitating or living together. Now, this group had a significantly higher shared microbiome than people who didn't live together, even if these people lived in the same village or towns. And cohabitating people had an even higher level than those who lived outside the village, but in the same basic geographic area and had the same lifestyle. This sharing of microbiome even occurred if the cohabitation only began as adults. And there was significant evidence that those who stopped living together experienced some reversal over time in the amount of microbiome that they shared. Now, people who didn't live together, that is, non-cohabitating individuals who lived in populations that were the same but nowhere near each other, had 0% of shared microbiome. Finally, let's look at twins. Twins living together shared up to 30% of their microbiome. And even after they had been apart and lived separate for up to 30 years, they still shared up to 10% of the identical species in their microbiome. Now, another remarkable finding in this study was the microbiome sharing was different between westernized and non-westernized population, but only in the diversity, that is the number of different kinds of the bacteria. The actual amount of sharing was almost identical, whether you lived in a westernized country or a non-westernized country. So it was really the living close together that was important for sharing of the microbiome. Divergent lifestyles, income, socioeconomic status, personal hygiene status, none of that affected the percent of microbiome sharing between close contacts. So we now know sharing physical space means you probably share your gut microbiome. This has fascinating implications. The microbiome may actually be like other bacterial diseases that you can catch from someone else or spread to someone else. The person-to-person transmission of the microbiome means that not only lifestyle choices like diet, food selection, antibiotic use is important, but social interactions, that is, who you live with, who you rent with, who you marry, who you date, and even your children will help shape the genetic makeup of your microbiome. The person-to-person transmission can lead to similar gut microbiomes between individuals living in close proximity. This can contribute to the spread of, or the prevention of, microbiome-associated diseases and conditions. Because remember, there are strong associations with the microbiome and multiple aspects of human health. These include impact on mood and behavior, including depression, anxiety, and stress, and obesity, because the microbiome is thought to play a role in energy metabolism and body weight regulation, as well as diabetes, glucose metabolism, insulin sensitivity, and things like the immune system, multiple sclerosis, cardiovascular health, and skin health. Now, there's lots more information to come in this fascinating area of study about person-to-person transmission of the human microbiome. In the future, it may be prebiotics, probiotics, fiber, and picking the right roommate to optimize your microbiome and your mental health and your physical health. If you found this interesting, click on these additional videos, such as the gut-brain connection and broccoli and depression, and please don't forget to hit subscribe.